On the distant world of Alaris, where crystal towers touched the skies and the light of 3 suns painted the world in shades of gold and blue, there lived a princess unlike any other. Her name was Ariana, daughter of Emperor Kale, ruler of the Valen Empire. To her people, she was more than royal blood. She was the symbol of power, beauty, and destiny. Yet behind her calm and graceful smile lived a quiet loneliness, a silent wish for something beyond the endless wars and rituals of her world. For centuries, an old prophecy had been whispered through the halls of Alaris. The princess will choose one not of our kind, and the stars will tremble. Many dismissed it as myth, a story to entertain children. But the emperor feared it. He knew that prophecies on Alaris were never lies. They were warnings. And so he guarded his daughter with walls of gold and soldiers of steel, hoping destiny would forget her name. The day of the royal ceremony arrived. Thousands gathered in the shining arena beneath the twin moons. The best warriors of Alaris had come to prove their worth, each one stronger and prouder than the last. Their armor gleamed, their weapons hummed with alien energy, and all eyes turned to the grand balcony where Princess Ariana stood, wearing a crown of blue gemstones that glowed like captured stars. She watched the warriors fight one after another. The crowd cheered as blades clashed and energy burst through the air, but her heart remained still. None of them stirred her soul. They were all the same, hungry for power, blinded by pride. She longed for something different, something real. Then the sky changed. A strange light tore through the air, bright and violent like lightning, but silent as a breath. The crowd gasped. The air cracked open, and from within the blinding light a figure fell, crashing to the ground before the royal platform. Guards rushed forward, weapons raised, but Ariana lifted her hand, stopping them. The figure groaned and lifted his head. It was a young man, human. His armor was torn, his face smeared with blood and dirt, and his eyes filled with confusion and pain. The people of Alaris murmured in disbelief. A human? No human had ever walked their world. To them, humans were fragile creatures from a distant planet, unfit for war or honor. Pathetic, one of the alien generals sneered. A creature of flesh and fear. Ariana said nothing. She stepped down from her platform, her silver hair flowing like starlight. As she approached, the crowd fell silent. The human tried to stand, wincing, but fell again. She stopped before him, her heart strangely drawn to the sadness in his eyes. "What is your name?" she asked softly. He looked up, his voice rough but calm. "Ethan." The moment their eyes met, something ancient awoke. The mark on Ariana's right hand, a mark shaped like a broken star, began to glow with golden light. The entire arena gasped. The glow spread, soft and warm, wrapping around her fingers and flickering through the air like fireflies. Ethan stared, eyes wide, as the light danced between them. The Emperor rose from his throne in shock. "Ariana." "Step away," he commanded, but she couldn't move. The light grew brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat, binding their gaze. In that silent moment, she felt his pain, his memories, flashes of a world torn by war, a planet called Earth. And he felt her too, her loneliness, her strength, her hidden longing. When the light faded, whispers spread through the arena. "The prophecy," someone muttered. "It's happening," the Emperor's voice thundered across the hall. "Guards, seize the human!" The soldiers surrounded Ethan, but before they could touch him, Ariana stepped in front of him. "No," she said, her voice firm. "He's under my protection." Her father's eyes blazed with anger. "You defy me for a human?" She didn't answer. She just looked back at Ethan, her heart racing. For the first time, she didn't feel alone. Something deep inside told her that his arrival wasn't a mistake. The stars had chosen him for a reason. The crowd erupted in chaos, some shouting for his death, others whispering about destiny. But Ariana stood tall, the golden light still faintly glowing on her skin. Ethan's gaze met hers again, and though he didn't understand her world or its rules, he knew one thing: his fate had just been sealed with hers. Far above, thunder rolled across the sky, though no storm had formed. The 3 suns dimmed as if bowing to an unseen power. The ancient priests trembled, for they knew what the sign meant. The prophecy had begun. Ariana turned toward the horizon where the stars burned bright, her voice barely a whisper. Why did the prophecy react to him? Ethan didn't know the answer, but as he looked into her glowing eyes, he felt something stir deep within, a spark of power he didn't know he had, and somewhere, hidden beyond the veil of worlds, the stars trembled, just as the prophecy had foretold. Cameras zoom slowly toward Ariana's glowing hand. The music swells, soft, haunting, filled with destiny and longing. Fade out. The palace of Alaris had never been so tense. The sudden arrival of a human had shaken the empire to its core. For generations, the people of Alaris believed they were the strongest in the galaxy, graceful, powerful, and far beyond the weak creatures of Earth. Yet the prophecy had chosen him, a young human warrior named Ethan. Ethan woke in a silver chamber filled with soft blue light. The walls shimmered like glass, alive with moving symbols that whispered in a strange language. His body ached, and when he touched his chest, he felt a faint burn, a mark glowing beneath his skin. He didn't remember much, only the explosion during a military test on Earth, then falling through light. Now he was here in a world that felt both beautiful and dangerous. A door slid open with a hiss, and two tall guards entered, their armor black and gold. Between them walked Princess Ariana, her silver hair flowing like moonlight, her eyes calm yet curious. Ethan sat up quickly, unsure if he should bow or salute. "You are safe now," she said softly, her voice gentle but strong. "You are on Alaris, the capital of the Valen Empire." He blinked, trying to process her words. "Alaris?" he whispered. How did I get here?" She looked at the glowing mark on her hand, the same golden light that had appeared when they first met. "The portal brought you. But we don't know why. You are different." Before he could reply, the door burst open again. The Emperor, tall and imposing, entered with guards and advisors. His golden crown gleamed beneath the light. His voice was sharp. "You will tell us who sent you, human. Are you a spy?" Ethan shook his head. "I'm just a soldier. I don't even know how I came here." The Emperor studied him coldly. "A soldier from Earth? Our sensors show your species has no portal technology." "You lie." Ariana stepped forward. "Father, he's telling the truth." "The prophecy." "Enough!" the Emperor thundered. "That prophecy is a curse. I will not let a human bring chaos to my empire." He turned to the guards. "Keep him under watch. If he moves wrongly, end him." The guards took Ethan away. As they led him down the crystal halls, he glanced back. Ariana stood still, her eyes filled with something he couldn't explain. Worry, maybe. Or hope. Hours passed. In the shadows of the palace, Ariana couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he looked lost, the honesty in his voice, and he didn't seem like a liar or a threat. She decided to visit him again, despite her father's orders. That night, she entered the guards' training courtyard where Ethan was kept. The sky above shimmered with twin moons, bathing everything in silver. Ethan was sitting alone, staring at the alien stars. "You came back," he said quietly. "I wanted to know more about you," she answered, sitting beside him. "You are not like the others say." "There's something peaceful about you," he smiled faintly. "Peaceful? That's new. Back on Earth, all I ever knew was war." Her eyes softened. "War changes everyone." For a moment, neither spoke. Only the hum of distant energy filled the silence. Ariana finally asked, "Do humans have love?" He looked at her, surprised. "Of course we do. Love's the only thing that makes war worth surviving." Her heart skipped a beat at his words. She'd grown up among warriors who only talked of power, duty, and control, never of love. But this human spoke of it like it was something real, something that mattered. Suddenly, a siren echoed through the palace. A bright flash lit up the horizon, and an attack. Rebels of Alaris had launched a strike against the Empire. Explosions rocked the ground as soldiers rushed to defend the walls. Ariana turned to run toward safety, but one of the walls collapsed near her. Debris fell and she stumbled. Ethan, without thinking, threw himself forward, grabbing her and pulling her out of the way. Dust and smoke filled the air. When it cleared, Ariana realized he had shielded her with his own body. His arms were around her, his breath shaky. His eyes glowed faintly blue, not like normal human eyes, but bright, almost alien. She whispered, "Ethan." "Your eyes?" He didn't notice. He was too focused on her safety. "Are you hurt?" "No," she breathed. "You saved me." Guards arrived and saw the scene, and the human protecting their princess glowing with strange power. They froze, unsure whether to arrest him or salute him. The Emperor soon arrived, his face pale with disbelief. He looked at Ethan's glowing eyes and then at Ariana. "Impossible," he murmured. "No human should have that kind of energy. The royal advisors whispered among themselves. Could he be the chosen one? The one from the prophecy? Ariana knelt beside Ethan as he collapsed, exhausted. His glow faded, leaving only the warmth of his touch and the soft rise and fall of his breath. She turned to her father, her voice trembling but sure. He saved me, Father. Whatever he is, he's not our enemy. The Emperor looked torn between anger and fear. He is dangerous, but perhaps fate has chosen him for a reason. As the night fell silent, the stars above shimmered brighter than before, as if they were watching. Ariana sat beside Ethan, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. She whispered softly, "Who are you, really?" His eyes opened slightly and he smiled weakly. Just someone who found the wrong door. But deep inside she felt it, a connection growing stronger than logic or bloodlines. And somewhere in the shadows the prophecy's words echoed again. The princess will choose one not of our kind, and the stars will tremble. The stars of Alaris flickered that night, and for the first time in centuries destiny began to move. Days turned into nights, but the palace of Alaris could not forget the scene. A human saving their princess and glowing with a power no human should possess. The story spread like fire through the golden cities and crystal towers. Some said Ethan was a chosen warrior. Others whispered he was a curse sent to destroy them. But no matter what the people said, Princess Ariana could not stay away. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. Tired, brave, and somehow gentle, even after all the chaos. She remembered the way he looked at her, not as a princess, but as someone real. It was a feeling she had never known. Ethan was now kept under guard in the palace gardens. Not a prison, but not freedom either. He walked among the silver trees and glowing flowers, watched always by soldiers who did not trust him. Yet each night when the moons rose high, he saw her, Ariana, standing quietly at the edge of the garden. She came to him in secret, her steps light as starlight. "You shouldn't be here," Ethan whispered the first time she visited. "If your father finds out, I don't care," she said, her voice soft but certain. "They think you are dangerous. But I know there's more to you," he smiled faintly. "You don't even know me. I know you saved my life," she said. "And I know your eyes glow like the stars when you fight. That's enough for me to want to understand." From that night they began to meet often, hidden from the guards, hidden from the Emperor. They walked through the moonlit gardens, their words quiet but full of warmth. Ethan told her about Earth, about oceans that stretched beyond sight, about rain that smelled of salt and soil, about a world full of noise and life. Ariana listened, her heart aching with wonder. She had grown up surrounded by perfection, shining towers, endless rules, and people who bowed to her every move. But she had never seen a world where people laughed freely, where love was simple and pure. One night, as they sat beside the glowing lake, Ariana dipped her fingers into the silver water. The ripples shimmered like living light. "Do humans believe in destiny?" she asked quietly. Ethan thought for a moment. "Some do. I used to think destiny was a story for people who wanted to feel special. But now," he looked at her, eyes gentle. "Now I'm not so sure," Ariana smiled. "Maybe you were meant to come here," he laughed softly. "And maybe you were meant to meet a human who can't even understand half your world." She looked at him then, really looked. His hair dark and messy, his face marked with scars but kind. There was something fragile and real about him that none of her people had. Her heart beat faster. "You understand more than you think," she whispered. For a long moment they just sat there, the air warm and still. The distance between their worlds seemed to fade. But before either could speak again, a harsh voice cut through the silence. "Princess." Ariana turned. Standing among the trees was General Kane, her father's most loyal soldier. His expression was cold, his weapon drawn. "Step away from the human." Ethan rose, tense. "He's not your enemy," Ariana said quickly. "He's done nothing wrong." The general's voice was sharp. "You are breaking royal command, Princess. You are forbidden to speak to him." She lifted her chin. "Then let this be my first rebellion." The general hesitated, but Ariana's gaze was fierce. He lowered his weapon slightly and said in a low voice, "If the Emperor finds out, he will banish you both." When the general left, Ethan turned to her, worry in his eyes. "You're risking everything, Ariana," she smiled sadly. Maybe everything I have isn't worth much if I can't choose what my heart wants. That night she returned to her chambers, but sleep never came. The Emperor had already begun to suspect something. The advisors had whispered that his daughter's heart was changing, that she was defending the human too often. The next morning, he summoned her to the throne room. His voice was cold. "You've been meeting him, haven't you?" Ariana stood straight. "Yes, father." The Emperor's fury echoed through the hall. "Do you understand what you are doing? He is not one of us. His kind are weak, inferior." Her voice trembled, but she didn't back down. "Then why did the prophecy choose him? Why does the mark on my hand glow when he is near?" The Emperor froze. For a moment his anger faltered, replaced by fear. "You don't know what you're playing with, child. That light is a warning, not a blessing." He turned away, his cloak sweeping behind him. "You will not see him again. Guards will watch your chambers. If you disobey, I will send the human back to whatever pit he came from." Tears burned her eyes, but she didn't cry. Not in front of him. When she returned to her room, she pressed her glowing hand to her heart. "I won't let them take this away," she whispered. That night, she found a way to escape again. In the garden, Ethan was waiting. He could see the sadness in her eyes. "He found out, didn't he?" She nodded. "He says you're dangerous," Ethan smiled softly. "Maybe he's right." Ariana laughed through her tears. "Then I'll take that risk." He stepped closer, his hand brushing hers. "If destiny really brought me here, maybe it wasn't to fight your people," he said quietly. "Maybe it was to find you." Her breath caught. The distance between them vanished. The air shimmered faintly, the mark on her hand glowing once more as if it felt their closeness. But far away, in the dark chambers of the palace, the Emperor watched through secret surveillance. His expression hardened. "So it's true," he murmured. "My daughter has fallen for the human." Outside, beneath the twin moons, Ariana whispered, "Whatever happens next, I won't let them take you from me." Ethan squeezed her hand. "Then we'll face it together." The next morning, the sun of Alaris rose red, a strange color that made the palace walls shimmer like fire. It was said that when the suns turned crimson, fate itself was shifting. Deep inside, Princess Ariana could feel it. Something in the air had changed. After their secret meeting, her thoughts were filled with Ethan, his eyes, his calm voice, his strange power. Everything about him felt like a piece of a puzzle she couldn't yet see. But her father's warning echoed in her mind like a shadow she couldn't escape. That day she visited the ancient library of Alaris, a place few dared to enter. It was silent, cold, and filled with books that glowed faintly with their own light. The walls whispered with voices of the past, memories of the Empire written into crystal. She searched for hours, following the strange pull she felt from within her glowing mark. Finally, she found it, a sealed chamber at the back of the library. A golden door marked with a familiar symbol, a broken star, the same mark on her hand. Her pulse quickened. The door opened for her touch, revealing a forgotten room covered in dust and light. Inside were old records, ancient scrolls, and faded images of humans standing beside aliens, not as enemies, but as allies. Her breath caught. Humans lived here before. The records spoke of an ancient time, thousands of years ago, when humans and the people of Alaris had once shared their world. They built cities together, fought wars together, and loved together. But something happened, a betrayal that tore the alliance apart. The humans were banished, erased from Alarian history. The old writings ended with one line: "The blood of the lost will return. The starborn will rise again." Her heart raced. The prophecy wasn't just about love, it was about history repeating itself. Ethan wasn't just a visitor from another world. He might be the one destined to heal what was broken. That evening, she found Ethan again, this time in the hidden passage beneath the palace gardens. His arm was bandaged from the battle, but his smile appeared when he saw her. "You shouldn't keep risking everything to see me," he said softly. "I found something," she whispered, holding out the scrolls. "It's about your kind." "About us," he frowned, taking the scrolls. "What do they say?" She explained everything. The ancient alliance, the banishment, the prophecy of the starborn. As she spoke, Ethan's expression changed from confusion to disbelief. "That can't be true. Humans never had this kind of power. But you do," she said, eyes locked on his. "Your eyes glowed when you saved me. You carry something from that ancient bloodline, The mark chose you, Ethan. You're part of Alaris more than you know. Ethan stared at the glowing scrolls. The words pulsed softly with golden light, reacting to his touch. He felt warmth travel through his veins. The same energy that had saved Ariana before. Maybe this is why I'm here, he murmured. Not by accident, but by destiny. Ariana smiled gently, but her eyes were full of worry. My father won't see it that way. He's preparing something. I can feel it. He's afraid of you, Ethan. Afraid of what you mean. Before Ethan could answer, a sudden tremor shook the ground. The light in the tunnels flickered. From above, the echo of alarms filled the palace. Ariana's eyes widened. Rebels? Ethan grabbed her hand. We need to get out. They ran through the tunnels, the walls glowing with ancient symbols that seemed to guide them. The air grew hot, the tremors stronger. When they reached the surface, they found chaos. Explosions in the distance, ships fighting in the crimson sky. The Empire was under attack. Ilarian soldiers rushed to battle while civilians fled. Ethan pulled Ariana behind a fallen pillar as fire streaked across the horizon. We have to get you somewhere safe, he said. She shook her head. No, if the prophecy is true, you're the one they're after. A sudden voice cut through the chaos. She's right. They turned. It was General Kane, his armor scorched, his expression grim. The Emperor has ordered your capture, human. He says you're the reason the rebels returned. They believe the prophecy is bringing ruin. Ethan stepped in front of Ariana, then let them come for me, not her. But Kane's eyes softened for a moment. I don't think it's that simple. The Emperor, he's hiding something too. What do you mean? Ariana asked. Kane hesitated, glancing at the burning sky. The prophecy isn't just about you, Princess. Your mother, the late Queen, she once loved a human long ago. That's why the Emperor fears this. He lost her to the same kind of love you now feel. Ariana's heart stopped. My mother loved a human? Kane nodded. And it nearly destroyed the Empire. She turned to Ethan, her mind spinning. The same story, the same love repeating through time. Tears burned her eyes. Maybe history is repeating itself for a reason, she whispered. Before they could say more, an explosion shattered the wall beside them. Soldiers swarmed the courtyard, shouting orders. Ariana grabbed Ethan's hand. Come with me. There's a way out through the old tunnels. They ran through the smoke and chaos, their hands never letting go. Behind them, Kane shouted, Go! I'll cover you! As they escaped into the dark passages below the city, the world above burned. But in the shadows, Ariana's hand still glowed faintly, the same light that had connected them from the moment they met. Ethan looked at her, his voice low. If your mother loved a human, maybe this was always meant to happen. She smiled sadly. Or maybe we're the ones who can finally end what they started. The tunnels echoed with the sound of battle fading behind them. The path ahead was uncertain, but their hearts were bound by something far stronger than fear. And far above, the red suns of Alaris dimmed, as if bowing to the weight of destiny once again. The fires of Alaris burned for 2 days and 2 nights. The rebel attack had been crushed, but the Empire had changed forever. The Emperor's anger echoed through every hall, every soldier, every frightened servant. He blamed one man, the human warrior who had entered his world and captured his daughter's heart. Princess Ariana and Ethan had fled into the desert after the attack. They hid among the glowing dunes, far from the royal city's eyes. The nights were cold, but they had each other, and that warmth was enough. They found a small cave beneath the shimmering cliffs where crystals glowed softly in the dark. Ethan sat near the fire, repairing his torn armor. Ariana watched him silently, tracing the golden light on her hand that now pulsed whenever she was near him. You don't have to fight anymore, she whispered. You've done enough, he smiled faintly. I'm a soldier, Princess. Fighting is what I do, but this is the first time I've had something worth fighting for. Her heart stirred at his words. She moved closer, their shoulders brushing. The air between them felt alive, warm. You shouldn't call me Princess, she said softly. Not when it's just us. He looked at her, his eyes gentle. Then what should I call you? Ariana, she whispered. He said her name slowly, as if it were sacred. Ariana. The way he spoke it made her feel more human than she ever had before. She smiled, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a symbol of destiny, just a woman sitting beside someone who saw her for who she truly was. But fate is never kind for long. As they rested that night, A silent shadow moved through the desert. The Emperor's soldiers had found their trail. Betrayal had come from within. Someone close to Ariana had revealed their hiding place. By dawn, the cave was surrounded. Blinding lights flashed through the entrance. Soldiers in black armor stormed in, shouting commands. Ethan stood and drew his weapon, ready to fight. "Ariana, stay behind me!" "No!" she cried, grabbing his arm. "If you fight them, they'll kill you." Before he could answer, a voice thundered from outside.
"Enough!"
The soldiers stepped aside, and Emperor Kale himself entered, his golden armor reflecting the morning sun. His expression was hard, but there was pain in his eyes. "You've shamed your bloodline, Ariana," he said coldly. "You've brought ruin to your people." She faced him, trembling but unbroken. "You call it ruin, father. I call it truth. He's not your enemy. He's the answer to the prophecy you fear." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "You think destiny gives mercy? You are a fool." He turned to the guards. "Seize the human." Ethan raised his blade, but soldiers overpowered him. They struck him, forcing him to his knees. Blood ran down his face, but his eyes never left Ariana's. "Don't hurt him," she screamed, trying to reach him, but two guards held her back. The Emperor stepped closer to Ethan, studying him with both hatred and curiosity. "Tell me, human, did you plan this? Did your kind send you to steal my daughter and my throne?" Ethan spat blood and met his gaze. "I didn't plan anything, but maybe your throne was already broken before I came." The Emperor's fury flashed. He struck Ethan across the face with the back of his hand. "Insolent creature, you dare speak to me of my throne?" Ariana struggled against the guards, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Father, stop, please." But her father's heart had turned to stone. "Take him to the dungeons," he ordered coldly. "At sunrise, he dies." "No." Ariana screamed, breaking free and running to Ethan. She fell to her knees beside him. "Please don't do this." The Emperor hesitated only for a heartbeat, but then turned away. "He is a danger to us all." The soldiers dragged Ethan out, his hands bound, leaving Ariana sobbing in the sand. Her cries echoed through the canyon long after they were gone. That night, the palace was silent except for the soft hum of the dungeons below. Ethan sat in chains, weak but unbroken. He stared at the ceiling, thinking of Ariana, her smile, her courage, her tears. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. The door creaked open and she appeared, cloaked in shadow, her eyes red from crying. "Ariana?" He whispered in disbelief. She rushed to him, her hands trembling as she touched his face. "I had to see you," she said softly. "They said you'll be executed at sunrise. I can't let that happen." He shook his head weakly. "If you help me, they'll take everything from you." She smiled sadly. "They already have." Her hand glowed again as she touched his chains. The metal shimmered, then melted away like water. Ethan stared at her in shock. "How did you—" "I don't know," she said, breathless. "It's the mark. It reacts to you. Maybe it was meant to free you." They ran through the dark corridors, hearts pounding. The palace guards were everywhere. But Ariana knew the secret paths, passages her mother had once used. The sounds of alarm began to rise behind them as the Emperor's men discovered the escape. They reached the outer walls, where a small ship waited, one Ariana had prepared in secret. The sky was dark, lightning flashing across the horizon. Ethan turned to her. "Come with me." She hesitated, looking back at the palace she had called home her entire life. "If I leave, I can never return." He stepped closer. "Then don't look back." Her tears shimmered under the lightning. "I won't." They boarded the ship just as the palace gates burst open behind them. Energy bolts flew through the sky, but Ethan took the controls and launched the craft into the storm. The ship soared upward, breaking through the dark clouds, leaving Alaris below. Inside, Ariana looked out the window, her hand still glowing faintly beside his. "Father will never forgive me," she said softly. Ethan turned to her. "Maybe one day he'll understand." She smiled through her tears. Maybe destiny doesn't want forgiveness. Maybe it just wants change. As the stars spread before them, the light from her mark joined the stars outside. Two souls running from a world that feared their love. The small ship glided silently through the endless stars, far away from the shining world of Alaris. The storm was behind them, but the storm inside their hearts had just begun. Ariana sat near the window, staring at the galaxy stretched before her, bright, endless, and cold. For the first time in her life, she wasn't a princess surrounded by guards and luxury. She was a fugitive, A daughter who had betrayed her father and a lover running from destiny. Ethan worked quietly at the control panel, repairing the ship's damaged systems. His hands were steady, but his mind was heavy. He had left everything behind on Earth, and now he had pulled Ariana away from her home. He could still see the pain in her eyes. "You haven't said a word since we escaped," he said softly. Ariana turned to him, her voice calm but full of sadness. "Because I don't know what to say. I've lost everything I've ever known, and yet I don't regret saving you." He looked up, meeting her eyes. "You could have left me there. You had a choice." She smiled faintly. "No, Ethan, I didn't. From the moment you arrived, the stars chose for me." For a while there was silence, only the hum of the ship and the faint echo of the stars outside. But peace never lasts long in stories written by destiny. Suddenly the alarms blared. Red lights filled the cabin. "What's happening?" Ariana gasped. Ethan checked the screen. "We're being followed." "It's a royal cruiser." Ariana's heart sank. "My father's men." The ship shook as a blast hit the side. Sparks flew. Ethan grabbed the controls. "Hold on." He swerved through the asteroid field ahead. Giant rocks of silver and ice drifted around them. Energy bolts flashed past, lighting up the darkness. Another hit. The ship spun wildly, alarms screaming. Ariana held onto his arm, shouting over the noise. "We can't outrun them forever." "I'm trying," Ethan yelled, his eyes fixed on the screen. "I just need—" Suddenly the ship lurched again. An explosion burst near the rear engine. The lights went out. For a moment there was only darkness and silence. Then a voice came through the communicator, cold and commanding. "Princess Ariana," said a deep, familiar voice. "You cannot run from destiny. Surrender, and I may spare him." It was General Varrock, her father's most trusted warrior. Ariana clenched her fists. "He'll never stop," she whispered. Ethan looked at her, his jaw tightening. "Then we make our stand." He rose from the pilot's seat, walked to the back of the ship, and opened a small compartment where alien weapons were stored. Ariana followed him, her hand glowing faintly again. "You can't fight them all," she said softly. He turned to her, his eyes steady. "Maybe not. But if I don't fight, they'll take you, and I can't let that happen." Ariana felt something shift inside her, a mix of fear, love, and something she didn't understand. The mark on her hand began to shine brighter, filling the room with golden light. Ethan blinked, shielding his eyes. "Ariana, your hand—" Before she could answer, the light spread to him, wrapping around his body like threads of fire. He gasped as warmth surged through him. The air crackled, the ground trembled. For a moment it was as if the ship itself breathed with them. "What's happening?" he whispered. Ariana stared in awe. "The mark. It's awakening something inside you." Ethan's veins glowed faintly under his skin. He felt power, raw, ancient, alive, flooding through him. His wounds healed instantly. The pain and exhaustion vanished. It was as if the stars themselves had entered his soul. The communicator blared again. "Final warning," Varrock's voice thundered. "Surrender now or be destroyed." Ethan looked toward the window, his eyes glowing faintly gold. "Not today." He walked to the control panel, placed his hand on it, and the ship responded. The systems that had been dead moments ago flared to life. The controls glowed with the same golden energy. The engines roared back on. Ariana stared in disbelief. "Ethan, you're controlling it with your energy." He smiled slightly. "Guess I'm learning fast." With one deep breath, he pushed the throttle forward. The ship shot through the asteroid field faster than before. The enemy cruiser followed, firing rapidly. But now every blast missed as if guided by fate itself. Ethan's hands glowed, moving with precision. "Hold steady," he said, his voice calm, powerful. "We're not running anymore." The ship twisted through the rocks, and Ethan turned sharply toward a massive asteroid. At the last second, he pulled up. The enemy cruiser crashed into the rock, exploding into a burst of light. Silence filled the cabin. The alarms went quiet. Ariana stared at him, her heart racing. "You did it." Ethan turned to her, his face calm but his eyes burning gold. "No, we did." She stepped closer, her hand trembling as she touched his face. The golden light between them pulsed gently, soft and warm. For a brief moment, all the fear faded. "You're changing, Ethan," she whispered. "You're becoming something else." He looked down at his hands, still glowing faintly. "I don't know what's happening to me, but whatever this is, it's connected to you." To that mark, Ariana nodded slowly. The prophecy said, The princess will choose one not of our kind, and the stars will tremble. Maybe this is what it meant. Ethan smiled softly. Then let them tremble. Outside, the wreckage of the royal cruiser drifted into the stars. Inside the small ship, two souls stood close, bound by fate, by light, and by something neither could fully explain. But far away on Alaris, Emperor Kale watched the destruction on his command screen. His expression was dark. He has awakened, he muttered. The prophecy is in motion. General Varrock's image flickered beside him. What shall we do, my emperor? The emperor's voice was cold and final. We will find them, and if destiny stands in our way, then we will destroy destiny itself. The stars drifted silently outside the window of the small ship. For a while, everything felt peaceful again. But peace never lasted long in their story. Ethan stood at the control panel, staring into space. The golden energy that had once flared inside him now pulsed faintly beneath his skin, like a sleeping flame. It scared him, not because of what it did, but because of what it meant. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. Something inside him had changed, something that connected him to the ancient prophecy. Ariana walked quietly beside him, her silver hair glowing softly under the starlight. She had barely spoken since the battle. Her thoughts were heavy about her father, her people, and the strange destiny that bound her heart to this human. Finally, she said softly, we can't keep running forever. Ethan, the Empire will come again. They won't stop until they find us. He nodded, his eyes still on the stars. Then we'll stop them first. But to do that, we need to know why they fear this prophecy so much. She turned to him, her voice barely a whisper. There's a place, the Vault of Oracles. It's deep beneath the ruins of the old empire, where the first kings of Alaris once ruled. It said the prophecy was written there. Ethan looked at her, determination in his eyes. Then that's where we go. The ship turned toward the far reaches of the galaxy, where a dying star cast its last light upon a planet of dust and stone. The ruins of Vera, the lost capital of the ancient Illyrian kings. When they landed, the air was thick with silence. The ground shimmered faintly under their boots as if the planet still remembered the magic that once ruled here. Broken towers stood like skeletons and symbols glowed faintly on the old walls. As they entered the ruins, Ariana's mark began to glow again. The golden light from her hand spread along the walls, waking symbols that hadn't moved in centuries, Ethan whispered. It's reacting to you. No, she said softly, watching the light move toward a giant stone gate. It's reacting to us. The gate opened with a low rumble, revealing a vast chamber filled with crystal pillars. In the center stood an ancient throne, empty but radiating power. As they stepped closer, a soft voice echoed through the chamber. The prophecy has awakened. Ariana froze. Did you hear that? Ethan nodded, scanning the room. A ghostly figure began to form before them. Tall, robed in starlight, its face hidden behind a golden mask. Princess of Alaris, the voice said. You have chosen the one not of your kind. The stars tremble once more. Ethan took a step forward. Who are you? I am the keeper of the vault, the figure replied. Guardian of the ancient truth your empire tried to erase. Ariana's eyes widened. The truth? About what? About your bloodline, the keeper said. And his. The air grew colder. Ethan frowned. My bloodline? I'm human. The keeper turned its glowing eyes toward him. No, Ethan of Earth, you are not only human. You carry the spark of the first flame, the same energy that once gave birth to Alaris itself. Ariana gasped. That's impossible. The flame was lost thousands of years ago. Lost, the keeper said softly, but not gone. It passed through the stars, finding a new vessel among another world, his world. And now through your bond, the flame has returned. Ethan felt a deep vibration in his chest, the golden light pulsing stronger than ever. So that's why I can do these things, why I can control energy, the keeper nodded. Your souls are bound. Together you are balance, human heart, and Illyrian power. But beware, for the Emperor seeks to claim that power for himself. He has awoken the fallen empire, an ancient army forged from shadows. Ariana stepped back, her heart pounding. My father. He would never. He already has, the keeper said. He was once chosen to guard the flame, but pride turned him. He seeks to reshape destiny, to become what no being should, the master of fate. The chamber trembled. The light flickered. Ethan grabbed Ariana's hand. "We have to go." The keeper's voice faded into the echoes. "If the flame falls into darkness, the stars will burn. If it stays in light, they will rise again." The stone gate began to close. Ethan pulled Ariana through just in time as the entire vault began to collapse. They ran through the ruins, the ground splitting beneath them. Explosions of light burst from the cracks as ancient magic erupted. When they reached the ship, the sky above had turned blood red. A massive shadow appeared on the horizon. Dark ships rising from the dust, Ethan's eyes widened. "What is that?" Ariana's voice trembled. "The fallen empire. He's already awakened them." A deep voice thundered through the air, echoing from the sky itself. "You cannot hide from destiny, my daughter." It was the Emperor. His ship descended through the clouds, surrounded by a fleet of ancient war machines glowing with red light. Ethan tightened his grip on Ariana's hand. "We can't fight that." But Ariana's eyes glowed brighter. Maybe not alone. The mark on her hand flared, connecting with the golden energy inside Ethan. Their lights merged, gold and silver, forming a radiant wave that spread across the desert. The fallen ships paused, their engines flickering. Ethan gasped. "What's happening?" Ariana's voice shook. "We're connected to the flame. We can control its energy together." He nodded. "Then let's end this." The golden light grew brighter until it swallowed the sky. The Emperor's fleet fired, but every blast dissolved in the wave of light. For a moment, the heavens burned gold. When the light faded, the ruins were silent again. The Emperor's ships had vanished. Not destroyed, but pulled into the deep void of the stars. Ariana fell to her knees, weak and trembling. Ethan caught her. "Ariana, stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open. "He's still alive, Ethan. He'll come back stronger." "The prophecy isn't over." He held her close. "Then neither are we." Far above them, hidden among the stars, a new storm began to form. Black and red, burning like a wound in the sky. The fallen empire was not defeated. It was only waiting. The stars above Alaris burned red. The sky trembled as the Emperor's shadow returned, greater, darker, and more powerful than before. His fleet had risen again from the void, stronger and glowing with crimson energy. The fallen empire had awakened in full. From their small ship hidden beyond the moon of Vera, Ethan and Ariana watched in silence. The Emperor's voice echoed across the stars through the communicator. "Ariana, my daughter, you cannot fight destiny. You are destiny." Ariana's heart ached hearing his voice. Cold, yet still her father's. "He's coming for the flame," she whispered. Ethan's golden eyes glowed faintly. "Then he'll have to go through us." She turned to him, her silver hair shining in the dim light. "If we lose, every world will burn, not just Alaris. Earth too." He nodded slowly, his voice low but sure. "Then we don't lose." They set course for Alaris and the world that started it all. As the ship descended, the planet looked broken, covered in storms and red fire. The once beautiful crystal towers were now surrounded by the Emperor's dark army. When they landed near the ruins of the royal city, the air was thick with energy. Every breath felt heavy, like the world itself was waiting for the final moment. Ethan stepped out first, golden light flickering through his veins. Ariana followed, her hand glowing brighter than ever before. Together, their light spread across the ground like a living flame. Suddenly, a deep voice filled the sky. "You should have never returned." From the clouds, the Emperor descended, not as a man, but as something far greater. His armor pulsed with red fire, his eyes glowing like dying stars. Energy storms swirled behind him as he hovered above the ruins. Ariana took a step forward. "Father, stop this!" The prophecy was never about power, it was about balance. The Emperor's voice thundered. "Balance is weakness. The flame belongs to me. I will rebuild the universe in my image." Ethan moved beside her, his gaze sharp. "You're not rebuilding it. You're destroying it." The Emperor raised his hand out and the ground exploded. A wave of red energy rushed toward them. Ethan grabbed Ariana's hand, and together they created a golden shield of light. The impact shook the earth, but they stood firm. The Emperor landed with a crash, cracking the stone beneath his feet. "You cannot stop fate," he roared. Ethan stepped forward, golden fire surrounding him. "Maybe not, But I can change it, he charged. The clash shook the heavens. Ethan's blade, glowing with the power of the flame, struck against the Emperor's crimson staff. Sparks flew like meteors. Each blow lit up the sky. Ariana watched, her heart pounding. She could feel their energy tearing the world apart. She knew this fight was more than power. It was love against control, freedom against fear. The Emperor struck Ethan hard, sending him crashing into the ruins. Blood streaked his face, but he pushed himself up again. You think love can save you? The Emperor mocked. Love is the weakness that doomed our kind. Ethan wiped the blood from his mouth, his voice calm. No, love is the reason I'm still standing. He looked back at Ariana. For a moment, the chaos around them faded. Her eyes met his, and full of faith, full of light. Then she felt it, the energy inside her rising, calling to his. The mark on her hand began to blaze brighter than ever, the golden light spreading across her body like wings. Ariana, no, Ethan shouted. It's too much, you'll burn yourself. She shook her head. This is what the prophecy meant, Ethan. The princess will choose one not of her kind, and the stars will tremble. It's not just about choosing you. It's about becoming one with you. Before he could stop her, she took his hands in hers. Their lights merged, gold and silver fusing into pure white. The sky itself began to shake. The Emperor roared, summoning his full power, red energy surging from his body. You will destroy everything. Ethan and Ariana floated upward, their light growing until it blinded the sky. Their voices became one. Then let destiny decide. The explosion of light that followed was like a new sun being born. The energy wave swept across Ilaris, wiping out the red storms, the dark armies, and the Emperor's power. His scream echoed through the void before it was silenced completely. When the light faded, silence covered the land. The skies cleared, turning blue once more. The golden towers of Ilaris glowed again, alive. The world was reborn. Ethan lay on the ground, weak but breathing. The mark on his hand still glowed faintly. He turned his head. Ariana was beside him, her body still, her silver hair spread across the shining stones. He crawled to her side, his hands shaking. Ariana. Her eyes opened slowly, a soft smile on her lips. We did it, she whispered. The stars are safe. Tears filled his eyes. Don't talk like that. We'll go home. We'll see the world you saved. She reached up and touched his face, her fingers glowing softly. You are my home, Ethan. The light in her hand faded slowly as her breathing grew weak. Promise me. When the stars tremble again, you'll remember me. He pressed her hand against his heart. I'll never forget you. Her smile lingered as her eyes closed and her light faded into the dawn. Ethan sat there for a long time, holding her as the sun rose over the reborn world. Then, as the light touched her body, something miraculous happened. Her form dissolved into golden dust, spreading into the sky, joining the stars above. He looked up, tears shining in his golden eyes. You're still here, he whispered. Everywhere. The wind blew gently, carrying her voice, faint but full of warmth. The stars will always guide you. Ethan stood, the mark on his hand glowing once more. He looked toward the horizon, where Ilaris shimmered with new life. The war was over, but his journey had just begun. He smiled through his tears and whispered, For you, Ariana, I'll make sure your world never falls again. The camera slowly pulled back, showing the planet glowing in peace, surrounded by a sky full of golden stars. Among them, one shined brighter than all the rest, the light of the alien princess who had loved beyond worlds.